Hey, there's Luwella. You're live on the internet. What brings you here? What do you think about the PLDC?
Well, the PLDC, we've been going through it as Native Hawaiians. We've been going through this since 1974. And we've been raked over fire, tornadoes, every natural element that you could think of as far as the public trust land. I mean, our EV are being, dug up and treated so disrespectfully. We're just the one thing that it's on our frontal lobe, is our EV.
Will you be giving testimony?
I'm here hopefully to give testimony, but it's going to have to come from my hip.
We'll be waiting for that, and we're live, so if I can catch it on video, all the better.
Okay.
Thank you.
Mr. Haraguchi, Mr. Ikeda, and let's see. I am my father's daughter, and his name is Nakao'o Niopi, and my name is Luwella Leonardi. Back in 1974, I met a lawyer named Mitsuo. The Native Hawaiian women living on Hawaiian homes joined in an existing organization named Luwella Leonardi. That means the law is the law. Native Hawaiian women living on Hawaiian homes lands learned about the public lands through this reform, its trust purposes, and he's not here in this physical world right now, but he lives in all of us. The women that I'm talking about is actually my mother, and most of the women in that organization are now gone. And that I guess we're the next generation to uphold what Nixon taught us. We learned about the public lands, the trust purposes, and painstakingly took the volumes of the tax map key, and he painstakingly put together the ceded lands. And we had a meeting at QLCC back in 1974 with all the Hawaiian organizations, the women of Hawaiian Homestead, and the organizations. They had put the ceded land maps on the wall, and then they proceeded to discuss where the $14 million put in the general fund and where these lands are. He also explained to them about the purposes of the ceded lands. One of them was in particular, of that five items, was education. And so the thing about women back in 1974, they were married to their men, and men were the VCs. Women at that time were not looked upon favorably to be VCs. So the women that got together, and this is statewide Hawaiian homestead women that got together, they took a look at their children, and they inventoried their life and the land, and the fact that they had their children to keep up with the dying race. That was the purpose of Hawaiian homestead. Sorry, I need to go on. I've been doing this since '74, and I need to speak. And I'll try to do it real quickly, without looking at my notes. What I wanted to say here is, the second, I attended a meeting at Ka'awa Elementary. What they wanted to do back then was to deep drop Harbor Kahana Bay. I was there to oppose that. And unfortunately, there was a person in the audience that looked at the bay as something being dead. The audience favored his idea of the Kahana Bay being dead and that we needed to do a deep drop harbor for Marine Harbor. That was a difficult time for me. The second part was that, back in Kahana Bay, yes. We had, Mr. Bernie, who lived in Kahana Bay, had an encounter with Susanoo DLNR. Susanoo's thoughts were that anyone living on state land were squatters. And he said this to Mr. Bernie. We then took up the idea of Ahupua'a at the University of Hawaii through Marion Kelly. And that's how that whole thing transpired. I actually called her to come to Kahana and to help us, and she did. So now we're educating our children in the schools about the Ahupua'a. My second encounter with Susanoo was at the Civil Rights meeting, the Federal Civil Rights meeting. And this was the breach of trust. This was the breach of trust meeting. Excuse me, I'm talking. Excuse me, you can take it outside. I am talking. And I need to hurry. So, the second meeting was the breach of trust. The state was found breach of trust by the federal government civil rights meeting. The persons there that was attending in that meeting was Frenchie DeSoto, Charlie Maxwell, Mrs. Alika Cooper, Mrs. Palican, Ron Albu, Lena Ho'oguli, and Dr. Ald from Papakolea. Recently, we had I need to go back, I'm so sorry, a little bit off here. In the 1980s, we were, under your rules, we were forced to, well, at least they thought that we could be forced into hooking up with our sewers. Our kupunas, 35 names of our kupunas in my homestead where I live, their names are put on the wall at DHHL. DHHL came in and forced our kupunas to sign on a contract, $3,000 that they owe for hooking up a sewer contract. What had happened here is, in that list of names was the Kahana family. This particular family was just recently, on May 10th, evicted. Now, Mr. Kahana was paralyzed, laying in his bed and his depends. 30 sheriffs showed up with guns and tasers and gave him 15 minutes to leave his home of 35 years. This is the kind of thing that we've been going through. Now, Mr. Kaihana lives in a car on the streets since May 10th. Today our children in Waianae. Now, the women who are asking for revenues from the 5SC lands, which is the one purpose, they weren't asking for anything else but for educational monies to accommodate their children. Today, sir, real quickly, 40% of our children in Waianae will not graduate from high school because the revenues that we thought that belonged to us back then in 1974 will not be available for our children then and will not be available for our children now. So, zoning, the only zones that's happening in Waianae in the future will be prisons, continued housing for low income, and tents for our houseless. I hope that you do not do this to the general public, is what I have to say.